Good morning, everybody. I'm pleased to be here with you this morning, and I'd like to thank NASBA Chair Mark Harris and Ken Bishop for inviting me to speak to you and for the outstanding year that they've had. Congratulations on a great year. It's tough following Dr. Miller on the podium. I realized in following him that we do have two things in common. Two things being that, number one, we are both CPAs who have a great passion for our profession. And the second is that we're both too tall for this podium. And I'll leave it at that. And over the past year, I've had the opportunity to meet and interact with the leadership of NASBA at our semi-annual summit meetings that we have between the AICPA and NASBA. So we meet twice a year to talk about the issues that we have on the table and get to know the person in the same position in the other organization. And so to kick that off every year, we do something called the Great Social Activity, and that's a round of golf with our counterpart from the other organization. So I got to spend 4.5 hours in a golf cart with your chairman-to-be, Galen Hansen. And the idea is that you really get to know someone after spending 4.5 hours. So as vice chairman, I showed up to the first tee, and I met Galen actually for the first time on the first tee. And I said, I really have to learn about this person. So the first thing I learned was that Galen is not a golfer. I could tell that by the fact that he was wearing running shoes on the golf course. So I learned quickly that Galen was a runner and not a golfer. And the second thing I learned came after we looked at the golf equipment that we had. So I have the latest clubs that were fitted for me. I'm a little bit taller than the average person. I have the golf balls that are supposed to produce outstanding results on the golf course with my McGladrey logo on the golf ball. I had the color-coordinated golf outfit on. I spent thousands of dollars in golf lessons getting ready for this day to play golf with Galen. Galen had 3 NASBA golf balls, and he offered to share one of them with me. So I learned from that Galen was kind and considerate in sharing, but also that he had a lot of confidence. So we got up to the first tee, and Galen, being the gentleman that he is, I learned that he was a great gentleman, allowed me to tee off first. And I took my swing and hit a perfect drive, probably one of the best I've ever hit in my life, right down the middle of the fairway. I walked off the tee real proud. Okay, Galen, it's your turn. Feeling that my special golf ball, my special club got me in a place that I really like right now. Galen got up with his running shoes and his rental golf clubs and his NASBA golf ball and crushed one. It landed about 50 yards beyond my drive and kept rolling and rolling. And in golf we have a name for that shot, and the golfers aren't going to like this because you've heard it too many times, but we call that the Linda Ronstadt shot. Anybody know what the Linda Ronstadt shot is? Someone yell it out. Blue Bayou. So I quickly learned not to bet against Galen in golf. Although he did run out of golf balls after the second hole. But after 2 rounds of golf and our interactions at our summit meeting, I could really stand before you today confident that you have a wonderful person and a very competent person in Galen Hansen, and I really wish Galen the best over the upcoming year. Galen, congratulations. I'd also like to congratulate NASBA and the California and DC Boards of Accountancy for their significant contributions in making California and the District of Columbia the 49th and 50th jurisdictions to pass mobility laws. Together, the AICPA and NASBA, along with state boards of accountancy, state CPA societies, accounting firms, and other mobility coalition partners, have enabled CPAs to more readily serve individuals and businesses in need of their expertise, while protecting the public interest. Mobility is just one example of our organization's commitment to excellence, service, and public protection. I have a little known fact for all of you today. Actually, I don't think anybody at the AICPA knows this fact, so Barry's probably having a rise in blood pressure right now. But in early 2000, I was approached by a group of people to interview for a position on the Board of Public Accountancy in Massachusetts. And I had all the proper backing of the political officials in Massachusetts and the people from the Mass Society of CPAs, so I thought this might be a good opportunity for me to get more involved with the profession. So I went to the interview, and I was pretty confident at the interview. I was dressed in my best suit. I gave the best appearance. I spoke very passionately about public accounting and the success that I've enjoyed in the business of public accounting, and left the interview totally confident that I would get the position on the Board of Public Accountancy. And I got a call a couple of days later, and they said, "We're sorry, but we've decided to go with another candidate." And so I asked for some feedback. Could you tell me a little bit about why I didn't get the position? And what I was told was that I was a little bit too passionate about public accounting. I spoke a lot about my passion, but spoke very little of protecting the public interest. And since that time, I've really learned a great deal of the value of that balance between loving our profession and advocating on behalf of our profession, and the importance of protecting the public interest. And I pledge to lead a continued balance at the AICPA. And yes, I remain passionate about the accounting profession because for me, it has been a pathway to building the American dream. A little bit about my background. I grew up in a very blue-collar city in Massachusetts called Revere, Massachusetts. And my friends from Massachusetts know that Revere is not exactly the Beverly Hills of Massachusetts. And we lived in a very blue-collar neighborhood. My father worked 2 or 3 jobs at most times. He was a carpenter. I came from an Italian immigrant family, and we were in a predominantly immigrant neighborhood, Italian immigrant neighborhood. And the adults I knew were working-class people, so they mentored me in the fact that if you work hard, you achieve a lot in life, and I learned that lesson very young. And one day, a CPA showed up in our neighborhood. He moved into our neighborhood. And nobody had any clue what a CPA was. We had no idea what a CPA was. I was somewhere between 10 and 12 years old at the time. And this person was just so impressive. He became the highest ranking and most admired person in our neighborhood, in our working class neighborhood. His name was Tony, and everybody admired Tony. And very early on, my father decided that I was going to be a CPA because Tony only worked 1 job as a CPA. He didn't have to take a shower when he came home and go to another job. And he drove a new car, and he was just a very well-respected person. So my father said, you know, that's something you should do. You should aspire to be. So I followed Tony's footsteps into the profession, in the profession that I've come to love. So when I look at my background and look at where I came from, the CPA profession has truly been a pathway for me for the American dream. And it's interesting that after every occasion I've had to tell this story, and some of you have heard this before, so excuse me for telling it again, what's interesting is people come up to me all the time after I talk and say, you know, I came from a very similar background. I had the same kind of pathway. I had the same kind of opportunity to build the American dream in this profession. And I'm very touched by that. I think we are a very special profession, a profession of very ethical people who don't act in the interest of money or in their own self-interest, but act in the interest of the public, the people we serve, and the clients that we serve. And so today I'd like to talk briefly about a key responsibility in our profession. And it's a responsibility that will enable the profession to provide that same pathway to the American dream for others starting on their journey. And that is to increase the diversity within our profession. We need to maximize our talent pool by making sure that everyone in America, regardless of their background, race, gender, religion, or anything else is aware of the rewards and possibilities of our accounting profession. We need to create opportunities and recognize and celebrate the differences in the ways current and future generations approach their professional lives. We need to be sure to have an attractive profession for future CPAs, as well as the current CPAs advancing through their careers or emerging as leaders. In our complex, information-driven, 24/7 world, we need to be able to attract the best and brightest, no matter where they come from. And during my term, the AICPA will provide strong leadership in this area. A diverse goal is shared by both AICPA and NASBA. The AICPA has developed programs that strive to enhance diversity, including the AICPA Fellowship and Scholarship programs for minority students. Now we also have the AICPA's new National Commission on Diversity and Inclusiveness to bring together advocacy groups and employers and to help all stakeholders put best practices into place while sharing resources and knowledge. NASBA has already awarded 3 grants through the Accounting Education Research Grants Program to faculty and postdoctoral researchers as they advance research on educational issues impacting CPAs. This includes a study of the determinant factor for the dearth of minority CPAs. These research projects are contributing to our ability to successfully build the profession of the future. I also applaud NASBA for Mark's recent comment a few minutes ago of your new committee to look into inclusiveness in our profession. Both of our organizations understand the need to make the profession more desirable to the smartest people from all kinds of backgrounds. In building the profession of the future, we must strive to be inclusive. The overall ethnic diversity of professionals in accounting firms has increased from 17% to 21% since 2009. About 37% of our population right now is represented by minorities, growing to somewhere approaching 50% by 2035 or so, depending upon which research you're looking at. However, the overall ethnic diversity of partners in CPA firms is less than 6%. Another area where we must seek improvement is gender diversity. We need to advance women as leaders in our profession. For decades, more than 50% of all new hires at CPA firms have been women, yet only 21% of firm partners are women. Similarly, according to Catalyst, only 9% of CFOs are women. True, we have made great strides, but we still have a lot of work to do. We need to make women partners and get them into other positions of leadership. The AICPA has long supported CPAs' advancement through various programs for women CPAs. And by the way, when I look at the diversity in this room, I'm encouraged because of all the groups that I speak with at the various state society meetings and accounting groups, I see very little diversity in the room. And today, although we're certainly still not representative of our population, I do see good diversity in our room, and I applaud the state boards of accountancy and the people involved with the process of making you a more diverse group. New CPAs appreciate America's diversity, have a global view, and want to work where everyone is embraced. And there's a business imperative to diversity. Clients want to be comfortable with their firm, and they feel more welcome when they see a diverse workforce. It has been more than a year since the AICPA and NASBA successfully launched the CPA exam at test sites in Japan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Lebanon, and the United Arab Emirates. Brazil joined the group in February of this year. Expanding the opportunities for candidates overseas to attain the CPA credential is crucial to attracting the best and brightest to the profession, and the AICPA looks forward to continuing this enormously successful relationship with NASBA. Increasing our diversity requires profession-wide change. This type of change takes time. We face a number of challenges to successfully broaden diversity and make our profession attractive to people from all backgrounds. We have to step out of our traditional comfort zone and interact with different types of people. This is how we will draw upon the best talent and hear myriad perspectives that come together to help our firms and organizations achieve success. We must also actively monitor and address changes in the world around us. We must create innovative responses to those changes and create a culture that embraces flexibility and proficiency to evolve. Many forces are driving change: globalization, financial reporting, regulation, and legislation. They are major game changers, and that will impact how firms and companies function and determine new services and new directions. For example, financial reporting has seen significant changes this year, with more to come. We are pleased with the Financial Accounting Foundation's decision to implement a process to modify U.S. GAAP for private companies and look forward to the appropriate substantive changes that the Private Council will produce under the leadership of former NASBA Chair Billy Atkinson. In addition, the AICPA is developing a financial reporting framework for the millions of small and medium-sized entities that don't need or are not required to have U.S. GAAP financial statements. The framework will be a special purpose framework, or what we used to call AICPA, and is designed to meet the needs of users while maintaining quality and trust. The AICPA member firms will actively promote marketplace acceptance of this new framework, in addition to advocating for GAAP modification for private companies via the PCC. Building off the successes of Columbia in the District of Columbia in California, individual mobility laws, we are beginning to discuss with NASBA, state CPA societies, state boards, and other stakeholders the possibility of a firm mobility initiative as the next logical step in creating an appropriate and effective legal and regulatory environment for the CPAs and CPA firms of the future. Currently, 14 states do not require firm registration under mobility. This concept of out-of-state firms exempting out-of-state firms from registration and fees while providing a test service, while ensuring that they are subject to accountancy laws and regulations in both the state in which they are providing services and the state in which they have a physical presence. To me, this is a natural extension of the individual CPA mobility campaign. In the area of attest, the marketplace and the needs of clients are also changing. CPAs are increasingly providing assurance reports on representations other than historical financial statements. As we will hear from Barry Melanson in more detail tomorrow, the definition of attest was a major part of the discussion between NASBA and AICPA leadership groups at our last summit, and is currently being considered by the joint AICPA-NASBA UAA committee. The concept of assurance is something we should continue to examine. We must embrace change, and even more importantly, we must create it. We are building our future profession now as leaders of the profession should. We want to affect the future, not let the future affect us. A component of creating change is the need for regulations and standards to keep up with changes to the profession. NASBA's key initiative ensuring effective state boards, an area of challenge in an era of difficult state budgets and resources, is an important effort. We too want effective state boards. State boards, NASBA, and the AICPA must work to ensure that our processes and approaches reflect rapidly evolving marketplaces. Our profession is undergoing a substantial evolution. These phases include increasing numbers of mergers and consolidations, international alliances, in new emerging areas of concern and opportunity in technology security. Sustainability, complex tax situations on the state and local, national and international landscapes, and human resource challenges. It is important to note that these changes aren't happening for the sake of change, but reflect the complexity and evolution of the business community and its clients, customers, and suppliers. We have long been the key profession serving the business community and general public. These rapid changes are happening to ensure our profession remains relevant. In many ways, the leaders who sat in this room 20 years ago wouldn't recognize our profession today. Likewise, I'm sure we won't recognize it 20 years from now. We are leading that evolution and change, and like every member of the CPA profession, We are doing it with a commitment of our values, a commitment to competency enhancement, and a commitment to a viable profession of the future. My route to becoming a CPA was made possible by tremendous opportunities. Today, I believe our top priority is to create an avenue for others to take this same journey. We must build a pathway that the best and brightest from any walk of life can follow. This means scholarships, training and advancement, and opportunities to take on new challenges and demonstrate a talent for business. Mentoring younger CPAs is a proven technique to help career growth. Leadership programs are necessary to develop future stewards of the profession. Building a profession in which everyone has a reasonable prospect to succeed is the best investment we can make in our future. It's not a choice to make this investment, it's a necessity. A career as a CPA has enabled me to grow and to be my own person. It gave me the chance to see opportunities and change. It enabled me to be a leader. The American dream was not only about providing a good life for me and my family, but also about providing a service that helped others. Our profession has done a tremendous job over the last 15 to 20 years of foreseeing the future, and that's something we must continue. Both CPA Horizons 2025 and the celebration around the AICPA's 125th anniversary were forward-thinking events. While they analyzed our past, their focus was about identifying and creating a better future. They were focused on how far we've come and how we get to the next level. We have an opportunity to be proactive in our evolution and show the leaders of tomorrow that our profession owns its own destiny. These opportunities exist for anyone. Each of us should encourage young professionals to get involved, including applying for volunteer positions on local and state boards and commissions. Becoming a CPA allowed me to complete my family's journey from a poor, tiny Italian town to where I am today. I was introduced to the profession by luck. A CPA moved in across the street. We can't leave the future of our profession to chance. Together, the AICPA and NASBA can pave the road to the American dream for anyone who wants to take it. Thank you, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Any questions for Rich? I see one way in the back. That'll be good.
Say, Richard, the glaring absence of the CPA exam is in China. And the PCAOB seems to be a little bit reticent about pushing it too hard on oversight and so forth. So from your view and as a profession, how are we going to respond to China going forward?
Well, thank you, Mark. China is an amazing country, as everybody knows. There are actually a shortage of CPAs in China that exceeds the population of CPAs in America. And we need to do more to bring the CPA profession to China. The plan for China is a future plan, something that I'm confident that we're working on and we'll bring. It's not in our immediate plan. I believe it's not in our immediate plan. I know Barry's here, and Barry, I don't know if you want to make any remarks about China.
So we have a lot of people that could answer this question from our exam team and Colleen and Ken, et cetera. Certainly, China is an area that we want to look at. There are issues. Obviously, all of us in this room have as our top priority preserving the integrity, confidentiality, security of the exam. That's a top priority. And there are clearly hurdles in every country when we go into a country that we have to overcome from that standpoint. And obviously, the places that we've gone, we feel comfortable, both AICPA and NASBA, that we've achieved that, that benchmark, that measure that we've had. And we have more work to do before we can get to that point of security and confidentiality. That wasn't me. We have some more work to do before we can get to that issue in China. Clearly, it's on the agenda, as you said, Rich, to look at, but there's a lot more work to do before we can ensure the integrity of the process. That's a commitment both NASBA and AICPA have made to the process.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Other questions or comments?
I have a comment, which is that on behalf of all of the boards of accountancy, I want to express appreciation for what the AICPA as well as state societies do in advancing the, or maintaining the vibrancy of the profession that the public that we serve relies upon. So thank you, and look forward to working with you on some of y'all's initiatives in any which way we can.
And likewise, thank you.